The Nevada desert stretched for miles in every direction under the burning afternoon sun. Sand dunes rolled like frozen waves across the landscape, and the heat made the air shimmer like water. In this empty place where nothing seemed to live, a small figure lay motionless on the hot sand. Her body was different from any human who had ever walked this earth. Her skin had a soft blue color, like the sky just before sunset. Dark bruises covered her arms and legs, and deep cuts marked her face. Strange symbols had been burned into her forearms, the marks still fresh and painful. Her hair was long and silver, spread out on the sand like moonlight. But the most striking feature was her eyes. They were purple, the color of lavender flowers, and they stared up at the cloudless sky without blinking. She was dying. The girl knew this as surely as she knew her own name. In her language, she was called something that sounded like Luna, though human mouths could never pronounce it correctly. She was young, perhaps 17 in Earth years, though her people measured time by the movement of 3 moons around their dying planet. 3 days had passed since her ship crashed. 3 days without water. 3 days without food. 3 days of hiding from the hunters she knew would come. Her body was stronger than a human's in some ways, but even she had limits. The desert was winning. Soon, she would close her eyes and never open them again. Luna thought about her home world as she lay there. It was a place of great beauty once, with cities that floated in the clouds and oceans that glowed with soft light at night. But that was before the wars, before the generals took control, before young women like her became property to be bought and sold like animals. The burning in her arms reminded her why she was here. The symbols marked her as belonging to General Kraft, a man old enough to be her grandfather. On her world, refusing a marriage arrangement with a high-ranking official meant death. Her parents had chosen a different path. They sold everything they owned to buy her passage on a smuggler's ship heading for Earth. Earth, the blue planet, the place where her people were not supposed to go. There were treaties, agreements made long ago. But desperation makes people break rules. The smugglers promised safe passage. They lied. As soon as they cleared the homeworld's defense grid, her own people opened fire. The transport ship broke apart in Earth's atmosphere, but Luna escaped in a small pod that crashed here in the desert. She tried to sit up but fell back immediately. Her strength was gone. In the distance, she heard a sound. An engine. A vehicle approaching. Fear shot through her body. Had they found her already? The hunters from her world. She tried to crawl behind a nearby rock, but could only move a few inches. Her body refused to obey. The sound grew louder. Luna could see dust rising in the distance. A truck. An Earth vehicle. Her heart pounded. Humans were dangerous too. Her people had stories about what humans did to visitors from other worlds. They cut them open. They studied them. They locked them in secret facilities and never let them go. But what choice did she have? She was dying anyway. Perhaps a quick death at human hands would be better than slowly burning under this cruel sun. Luna closed her eyes and waited. The truck sound grew closer, then stopped. She heard a door slam. Footsteps in the sand. A shadow fell across her body, blocking the sun. Luna opened her eyes and saw him. A human man, older, with gray hair and kind eyes. He wore simple clothes, jeans, and a plaid shirt. His face was weathered from years in the sun. He stood there, staring down at her, with his mouth open in shock. She could see the moment he realized she wasn't human. His eyes widened. His hand moved toward his pocket, perhaps reaching for a weapon. But then something changed in his expression. The fear melted away, replaced by something else. Concern. He knelt beside her, his movements slow and careful. Luna tried to speak, but only a weak sound came out. Her language would mean nothing to him anyway. The man reached out his hand, and Luna flinched. But his touch was gentle. He was checking her injuries, she realized, trying to help. "Dear God," the man whispered in English. Luna didn't understand the words, but his tone was clear. He was worried. He looked around the empty desert, then back at her. She could see him making a decision. Whatever he was thinking, Luna knew her fate was now in this stranger's hands. The man spoke again, his voice soft. He wrapped his jacket around her shoulders and carefully lifted her from the sand. Luna wanted to fight, wanted to run, but her body had no strength left. As he carried her toward his truck, she looked up at the sky one last time. Somewhere up there, danger was still searching for her, but for now, she was in the arms of a human who seemed to care whether she lived or died. Tom Harrison drove his old pickup truck through the desert heat like he had done 1,000 times before. At 60 years old, he knew every rock and cactus along this lonely road. He was heading back from town with supplies for his workshop when something caught his eye. A splash of color where there should only be sand and stone. He slowed the truck and squinted through the dusty windshield. There was definitely something out there. Maybe someone had dumped trash again. City people sometimes drove out here to throw away things they didn't want found. Tom sighed and turned off the main road. He hated litterers, but he always stopped to clean up their mess. As he got closer, his heart began to race. That wasn't trash. It was a person. A girl, from the looks of it, lying face up in the sand. Tom hit the brakes hard and jumped out of the truck. Desert heat slammed into him like a wall, but he barely noticed. His boots kicked up dust as he ran toward the still figure. "Miss, can you hear me?" He called out, but there was no response. Tom dropped to his knees beside her and reached for her shoulder. Then he froze. His eyes widened as his brain tried to make sense of what he was seeing. The girl's skin was blue. Not the blue of someone who couldn't breathe, but a soft, natural blue like a morning sky. Her hair was silver as moonlight, and when her eyes fluttered open for just a moment, Tom saw they were purple. Deep, bright purple like flowers he had seen once in his wife's garden. Tom had lived in Nevada all his life. He had heard the stories. Lights in the sky. Strange crashes in the desert. Things the government said were weather balloons or military tests. His neighbor Joe swore he saw something land near his ranch back in 1987. Tom had always laughed at those stories. He wasn't laughing now. The girl's breathing was shallow and wrong somehow. It had a different rhythm than human breathing. Her chest rose and fell in patterns of 3, like she was taking triple breaths. Strange symbols were burned into her arms, still raw and seeping. Someone had hurt this girl, whatever she was. Tom faced a choice. He could leave her here and pretend he never saw anything. He could call the authorities and let them handle it, or he could do what his heart was telling him to do. The same thing he would do for any injured creature he found in the desert. Sarah would have known what to do. His wife had been dead for 5 years now, but Tom still heard her voice sometimes. She would have said that fear was no excuse for letting someone suffer, human or not. This girl needed help. Tom gently touched the girl's forehead. Her skin was cold despite the desert heat. She opened her eyes again and looked directly at him. The fear in those purple eyes was something Tom recognized. It was the same look he had seen in wounded animals, in lost children, in soldiers coming home from war. "It's okay," Tom said softly. "I'm not going to hurt you." The girl's mouth moved, and sounds came out. Musical sounds mixed with static, like a broken radio trying to find a station. It wasn't any language Tom had ever heard. She was trying to tell him something, but the words were lost between worlds. Tom made his decision. He slipped his arms under the girl's small frame and lifted her carefully. She weighed almost nothing, like she was made of hollow bones and air. As he carried her to his truck, she pointed weakly at the sky and shook her head. The gesture was clear. Something up there was bad. Something up there was looking for her. "Don't worry," Tom said, though he doubted she understood. "My place is safe. Nobody ever comes out there." He settled her in the passenger seat and wrapped her in the old blanket he kept behind the seat. She was shivering now, though the temperature had to be over 100 degrees. Tom started the engine and turned the truck around, heading for home instead of town. As he drove, Tom kept glancing at his unusual passenger. She had curled up against the window, those purple eyes watching the sky through the glass. Every few minutes, she would make soft sounds in that strange language. It sounded like she was praying. Tom gripped the steering wheel tighter and pressed harder on the gas pedal. He didn't know what he was getting himself into, but he knew one thing for certain. He wasn't going to let this girl die in the desert. Not on his watch. Whatever she was, wherever she came from, she was under his protection now. The truck kicked up a cloud of dust as it sped across the desert toward Tom's workshop. Behind them, the sun was starting to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and red. Somewhere above those clouds, Tom suspected, something was searching. But his workshop was 20 miles from anywhere, hidden in a canyon that most people didn't even know existed. He glanced at the girl again. Her eyes had closed, and her strange breathing had slowed. Tom hoped she would hang on long enough for him to figure out how to help her. He had fixed plenty of broken things in his life. Cars, machines, even wounded animals. But this was something new. This was something that would change everything. Tom's workshop sat hidden in a narrow canyon 20 miles from the nearest town. The building was a mix of old metal sheets and concrete blocks, built with his own hands 30 years ago. It wasn't pretty, but it was sturdy and private. Most importantly, nobody came here without Tom knowing about it first. He parked the truck near the main door and carefully lifted the blue-skinned girl from the passenger seat. She was barely conscious now, her purple eyes opening and closing like she was fighting to stay awake. Tom carried her through the workshop, past shelves of car parts and tool benches, to the small living area in the back. The room had a bed, a kitchenette, and a bathroom. Tom used it when he worked late and didn't want to drive home to his empty house in town. He laid the girl on the bed and grabbed his first aid kit from the shelf. His hand shook slightly as he opened it. He had treated cuts and bruises before, but never on someone who wasn't human. The girl watched him with those strange purple eyes as he worked. Her wounds were deep but clean, like they had been made with something very sharp and precise. The burned symbols on her arms looked deliberate, not accidental. Someone had marked her on purpose. Tom cleaned the wounds with antiseptic, and the girl didn't even flinch. Either she was very brave or her people didn't feel pain the same way humans did. As he wrapped bandages around her arms, Tom noticed other differences. Her skin wasn't just blue, it had a slight shimmer to it, like fish scales in sunlight. Her fingers were longer than human fingers, with an extra joint that made them more flexible. When she breathed, he could see gill-like slits on her neck that opened and closed slightly. "Water," Tom said, pointing to a glass. "Do you need water?" The girl tilted her head, not understanding. Tom filled a glass from the tap and held it out to her. She looked at it suspiciously, then carefully took a sip. Her face immediately scrunched up in disgust, and she spit the water back out. "Okay, not regular water then," Tom muttered. He remembered the bottles of distilled water he used for car batteries. Maybe that would work better. When he offered her the distilled water, she drank it eagerly, draining the entire bottle in seconds. Color returned to her blue cheeks, and her breathing became steadier. She pointed at the empty bottle and made a sound that might have been more in her language. Tom gave her 3 more bottles, and she drank them all. Then she surprised him by pointing at herself and making a sound. She repeated it several times, pointing at herself each time. It sounded like Luna, but with extra notes that Tom's ears couldn't quite catch. "Luna," Tom tried. "Is that your name?" She nodded eagerly, then pointed at him with a questioning look. "Tom," he said, putting his hand on his chest. "My name is Tom." "Tom," she repeated, and the word sounded strange in her musical voice, like she was singing it instead of saying it. Over the next few hours, Luna began to recover. She sat up in bed, looking around the room with curious eyes. Everything seemed to fascinate her. The light switch, the clock on the wall, the old television in the corner. She pointed at objects, and Tom told her their names. She repeated each word carefully. filing it away in her memory. By evening, she was trying to communicate through gestures and the few English words she had learned. She pointed at the burns on her arms, then made a motion like someone grabbing her. She shook her head violently and pressed her hands together like she was begging. "Someone hurt you," Tom said, understanding. "Someone you were trying to get away from." Luna nodded and pointed up at the ceiling. She made flying motions with her hands, then brought them together in a crash. She had come here in some kind of ship, and it had crashed. Tom was starting to piece together her story. As night fell, Luna became more agitated. She kept looking out the window at the dark sky, fear clear in her purple eyes. She pulled the blanket around herself and huddled in the corner of the bed. Whatever had hurt her, whatever she was running from, she expected it to find her. Tom locked all the doors and windows. He didn't know if locks would stop whoever was hunting this girl, but it made them both feel better. He pulled an old camping cot from the closet and set it up near the door. If anyone tried to get to Luna, they would have to go through him first. "Sleep," he told her, pointing at the bed. "You're safe here." Luna looked at him for a long moment, then lay down on the bed. She kept the blanket pulled up to her chin, those purple eyes watching him in the dark. Tom settled onto the cot with his old shotgun beside him. He didn't know if Earth weapons would work against whatever might come, but he would try. As the workshop grew quiet, Tom could hear Luna's strange breathing pattern. 3 short breaths, then 1 long one. It was oddly soothing, like listening to ocean waves. He thought about Sarah and what she would say about all this. She would probably laugh and say that Tom always did have a soft spot for strays. Outside, the desert wind howled through the canyon. But inside the workshop, a human and an alien girl settled in for their first night together, joined by the simple act of kindness that crosses all boundaries of species and worlds. Morning sunlight streamed through the workshop windows, waking Tom from an uneasy sleep. He sat up on the cot, his back protesting after a night on the thin mattress. His first thought was that he had dreamed the whole thing. Then he saw Luna sitting cross-legged on the bed, studying a car manual with intense concentration. She looked up when she heard him move, and her face brightened. "Tom," she said, the word clearer than yesterday. "Good morning." Tom blinked in surprise. "You learned that from the book." Luna held up the manual and pointed at the introduction page. She had been reading all night, teaching herself English from technical descriptions of engine parts. Her learning speed was incredible. What would take a human child years to learn, she was absorbing in hours. "Hungry," Luna said, touching her stomach. "Food." Tom headed to the small kitchen area and opened the refrigerator. He had some leftover soup, bread, and a few apples. He wasn't sure what aliens ate, but he figured he'd start simple. Luna watched him heat the soup, her nose wrinkling at the smell. When he set the bowl in front of her, she examined it carefully. She took a small sip, then pushed it away. The bread met the same fate. But when Tom cut up an apple, her eyes lit up. She ate every piece, then pointed at the fruit bowl for more. "Apples it is then," Tom said, cutting up 2 more. Luna ate them quickly, juice running down her chin. She seemed embarrassed by the mess and carefully wiped her face with a napkin. After breakfast, Luna stood up and walked around the workshop. Her movements were steadier now, more confident. She paused at each tool and machine, running her long fingers over them. When she reached an old car engine Tom had been struggling to fix for weeks, she stopped. Luna placed both hands on the engine and closed her eyes. Her fingers moved across the metal parts like she was reading Braille. After a moment, she opened her eyes and pointed at a specific spot inside the engine block. "Broken," she said. "Here." Tom grabbed his flashlight and looked where she was pointing. Sure enough, there was a hairline crack in the cylinder wall that he had missed. It was so small that most mechanics would need special equipment to find it. Luna had found it with just her touch. "How did you know?" Tom asked. Luna struggled to find the words. She touched her hand, then the engine, then her head. "Feel," she said finally. Metal speaks. Over the next few hours, Luna helped Tom identify problems in 3 more engines. Each time, she was right. Her ability to sense mechanical issues was unlike anything Tom had ever seen. It was as if she could communicate with the machines themselves. By afternoon, Luna's English had improved dramatically. She could now speak in simple sentences, though her accent remained musical and strange. She began to tell Tom more about herself, using a combination of words and gestures. "My world," she said, drawing circles in the dust on a workbench. 3 moons. Dying sun. Leaders bad. Take young women. Make property. She showed him the burns on her arms again. Mark of ownership. Belong to General Kraft. Old man. Cruel man. Parents say no. Parents give all money to smugglers. Send me away. Tom listened, his anger growing. The story was becoming clearer. Luna's planet was ruled by men who treated women like possessions. Her parents had sacrificed everything to save her from that fate. Ship attacked. Luna continued, making explosion gestures. "My own people. They want me dead. Better dead than free. Escape pod crash here." She pointed at the ground. "Desert. Hot. Thought I'd die. Then you come. And now they're looking for you," Tom said. Luna nodded, fear creeping back into her purple eyes. "They come. Always come. Find escapees. Kill them. Kill anyone who helps." She looked at Tom with concern. "You in danger now. Because of me." Tom thought about this. He was a 60-year-old mechanic living alone in the desert. He had already lost everything that mattered when Sarah died. What did he have to lose now? "Let them come," he said firmly. "You're under my protection now." Luna's eyes filled with silver tears. They ran down her blue cheeks like mercury. "Why you help? I'm not human. I'm nothing to you." Tom handed her a clean rag to wipe her tears. "My wife Sarah used to say that kindness doesn't care about species. You needed help. That's all that matters." Luna took the rag gratefully. As she wiped her face, she made a decision. "I teach you," she said, "about machines, about technology, my people's knowledge, payment for kindness." That afternoon, Luna began showing Tom things about engines and electronics that amazed him. She could make dead batteries come back to life with just her touch. She could diagnose problems by listening to an engine run for 3 seconds. She showed him how to adjust carburetors in ways that doubled fuel efficiency. "Your people," Tom said during a break. "They have abilities we don't." Luna nodded. "Different evolution. We feel electromagnetic fields. Sense metal stress. Hear frequencies you cannot. But we die easier too. Need specific water. Need certain minerals. Earth hard for us." As the sun began to set, Luna grew quiet again. She kept looking at the sky through the windows. Tom noticed her hands were shaking slightly. "They search at night," she explained. "Use scanners. Look for life signs. My life signs different from Earth creatures. Easy to find." Tom thought for a moment, then had an idea. The workshop had an old bomb shelter underneath, built during the Cold War. It was lined with lead and concrete, designed to block radiation. Maybe it would block alien scanners too. "Come with me," he said, leading Luna to a hidden trapdoor in the floor. "We'll wait out the night down here." The shelter was small but clean. Tom had maintained it over the years, keeping emergency supplies fresh. There were beds, water, canned food, and battery-powered lights. Luna looked around with relief. "Signal blocked here," she said, touching the walls. "Lead stop scanners." Smart thinking, Tom. They settled in for another night, the human mechanic and the alien girl hiding from dangers that sailed between the stars. Above them, something searched the desert with technology beyond Earth's understanding. But down in the shelter, protected by human ingenuity and simple kindness, Luna was safe for one more night. Days turned into weeks at Tom's workshop, and a routine developed between the human and the alien girl. Luna's English improved rapidly, and soon she could carry on full conversations. Her understanding of Earth customs grew too, though some things still confused her. "Why do humans shake hands?" she asked one morning while helping Tom repair a transmission. "On my world, we touch foreheads to show trust." Tom chuckled. "Just our way, I guess. Every species has its customs." Luna had proven to be an incredible help in the workshop. Word started spreading among Tom's regular customers that old Harrison had somehow gotten even better at fixing cars. Engines that other mechanics had given up on now purred like new. Electrical problems that had stumped experts were solved in minutes. "Your niece is a miracle worker," said Jake Martinez, picking up his restored 1967 Mustang. "Where did you say she was from again?" "Back east," Tom answered vaguely. "She's always had a gift with machines." Luna stayed hidden in the back room whenever customers came by. She had learned to apply makeup that made her blue skin look more human, but her purple eyes and silver hair were harder to disguise. Tom bought her contact lenses and hair dye from town, and she practiced looking human in the mirror. "I look strange," she said, studying her disguise reflection. "Not human, not my people, something in between." "You look perfect," Tom assured her. "Different is good." One evening, while working on a particularly stubborn engine, Luna opened up more about her home world. She drew diagrams on paper, showing Tom's cities that floated among the clouds and transportation systems that defied gravity. "Was beautiful once," she said sadly. "Before the wars, before the generals took power. Now is dying. Sun growing cold. Resources running out. That's why leaders so cruel. They think controlling population will save planet, but only makes things worse." "How many others have escaped?" Tom asked. "Not many. Earth is forbidden planet. Treaty signed long ago. Your governments know we exist, but pretend not to. Easier that way. Some of us come anyway. Desperate people do desperate things." Luna explained that her people had been visiting Earth for centuries, always in secret. They had bases on the dark side of the moon and monitoring stations deep under the oceans. Most humans never knew, but some governments had agreements with them. "Your military has some of our technology," she said, "traded for permission to study Earth. But my people never share the important things, never teach humans to travel between stars." "Why not?" Luna's expression darkened. "Because humans are dangerous. You war against each other. Destroy your own planet. My people afraid what you would do with real power. Better to keep you contained." It was harsh, but Tom couldn't argue. Humans did have a violent history. Still, he had shown Luna kindness. Maybe that counted for something. One night, Luna woke up screaming. Tom rushed to her room and found her curled in a ball, silver tears streaming down her face. She was speaking rapidly in her own language, the musical notes filled with terror. "Bad dream," she gasped when she saw Tom. Remembered the escape. Remembered the attack. Tom sat on the edge of her bed. "Tell me." Luna took a shaky breath. "Ship had families, children. When my people attacked, they didn't care. Explosion. Screaming. I made it to escape pod, but others didn't. Saw ship break apart. Saw bodies floating in space." "That's not your fault," Tom said gently. "Is my fault. If I had married the general, those people would be alive. My refusal killed them." Tom shook his head firmly. "No. The people who fired on a ship full of innocents killed them. You just wanted to be free. That's not a crime." Luna leaned against his shoulder, seeking comfort. Tom awkwardly patted her back, remembering how he used to comfort Sarah during bad nights. It felt strange but right, offering fatherly protection to this girl from the stars. As weeks passed, Luna grew stronger and more confident. She started venturing outside at night, when darkness hid her alien features. She loved looking at the stars, pointing out which ones had planets she had visited. "That one," she said, indicating a faint star near Orion. has 7 planets. Third one is all water. Creatures there like your whales, but smarter. They sing history instead of writing it. Have you been there? Once, when I was small. Father was diplomat then, before the generals took over. We visited many worlds, saw amazing things. Now he works in factories. Mother cleans buildings. They gave everything to save me. The sadness in her voice was heartbreaking. Tom understood the weight of parental sacrifice. He and Sarah had never had children, something they had always regretted. Now, in a strange way, he had become a father figure to an alien refugee. One afternoon, while Luna was helping Tom rebuild a carburetor, she suddenly froze. Her purple eyes went wide, and the color drained from her face. "They're coming," she whispered. "I can feel their scanners. Stronger than before. Closer." Tom dropped his tools. "How long?" "Tonight. Maybe sooner." They found my trail. Tom's mind raced. They needed a plan. The bomb shelter had worked so far, but if Luna's people were closing in, they might detect her anyway. They needed something more permanent, something that would keep her safe forever. "Pack your things," Tom said decisively. "We're leaving." "Where can we go?" "They'll find me anywhere." Tom grabbed his phone and scrolled through his contacts. "I know some people. From my time in the service. People who deal with unusual situations. People who might be able to help." Luna looked uncertain, but she trusted Tom. As she gathered the few possessions she had accumulated, Tom made a call he never thought he would make. It was time to cash in a very old favor. Before Tom could respond, alarms started blaring. The tall man in the suit, who had been monitoring screens, turned sharply. Life at Site 7 was nothing like the quiet workshop in the desert. Luna found herself in a world of security protocols, scientific tests, and endless questions. Dr. Chen became her constant companion, studying her abilities while trying to make her comfortable. "Your neural pathways are fascinating," Chen said during one session. "You process information 3 times faster than humans. No wonder you learned English so quickly." Luna sat patiently as Chen attached more monitoring devices. "On my world, this is normal. We evolve differently. Your species strong physically. Mine strong mentally." Tom visited every day, driving 2 hours each way from his workshop. Martinez had offered him quarters at the facility, but Tom refused. He needed his normal life, his customers, his routine. But he also needed to see Luna, to make sure she was adjusting. "They treating you okay?" he asked during one visit. Luna nodded. "Everyone kind. But I feel like specimen sometimes, like animal in zoo." "You're not a specimen. You're a person. Don't let them forget that." The facility housed other refugees too. Luna met Sereth, a tall being from a world of eternal storms. His people could generate electricity from their bodies. She met Kala, who looked human except for her ability to breathe underwater indefinitely. There were dozens of them, all hiding from their own worlds for various reasons. "We call ourselves the Abandoned," Sereth explained. "Cast out from our homes, finding shelter on Earth. Your governments protect us in exchange for knowledge." Luna began working with the science team, sharing what she knew about advanced propulsion systems. She was careful not to reveal military secrets of her people, but she could teach humans how to make their existing technology better. "This is incredible," said Dr. Park, the lead engineer. "If we implement these modifications, we could double the efficiency of jet engines." Luna also helped in the medical bay. Her ability to sense biological fields made her invaluable for diagnosis. She could detect tumors, blood clots, and other problems just by touching patients. One day, a young soldier was brought in after a training accident. The doctors couldn't find what was wrong with him. Luna placed her hands on his chest and immediately found the problem. "Internal bleeding," she announced. "Small tear in liver. Here." She guided the surgeon's hands to the exact spot. The surgery saved the soldier's life. Word spread quickly through the facility about the alien girl with healing hands. Soon, Luna was consulting on difficult medical cases from around the world, though always in secret. But Luna's heart remained with machines. Martinez arranged for her to have her own workshop within the facility. Tom brought some of his tools, and together they continued fixing engines and building new devices. "I want to give back," Luna told Tom one afternoon. "Earth gave me sanctuary. I want to help your people." She began designing improvements for medical equipment, making MRI machines more accurate and surgical tools more precise. Her modifications were implemented quietly, without the public knowing their origin. Months passed. Luna grew more comfortable in her new life, though she never forgot her family. Through secure channels, she learned that her parents were still alive, but under constant surveillance. Any attempt to contact them would put everyone in danger. One night, Luna found Tom in the facility's observation deck, looking at the stars. "Thinking about Sarah?" she asked. Tom nodded. "She would have loved you. Always said we should have adopted. Never got the chance." "You gave me a father," Luna said quietly. "I gave you a daughter. Maybe the universe knows what it's doing." Tom smiled. "Maybe it does." Dr. Chen approached them with a tablet. "Luna, we've had an interesting development. Remember the null field we created around you? We've managed to reverse engineer it. We can now hide our facilities from any scanning technology." Luna examined the data. "You improved it, made it stronger. With your help, this technology will protect Earth from unwanted visitors. You've given us a shield." Luna felt pride in the accomplishment. She was contributing to her adopted world's defense, but the achievement was bittersweet. Every advance Earth made pushed her further from her own people. Luna collapsed as the last surge of power left her body. Tom caught her before she hit the floor, cradling her in his arms. Her blue skin was pale, almost gray. Her breathing was shallow and irregular. "Get medical in here," Martine had shouted. Dr. Chen rushed in with her team, but her scanner showed what everyone feared. Luna's nervous system was shutting down. The energy feedback had done massive damage. "Can you save her?" Tom asked desperately. Chen's eyes were wet with tears. "I'm trying, but her biology is failing." The power surge overwhelmed her cellular structure. Luna's eyes fluttered open. She looked up at Tom and managed a weak smile. "Did it work?" "Yeah, kid. It worked. The Vex are leaving. They can't find Earth anymore." "Good." Her voice was barely a whisper. "Keep the others safe. Promise." "I promise." Luna reached up and touched Tom's face with trembling fingers. "Tell my parents, if you ever can. Tell them I was free. Tell them I mattered. You mattered more than you know." Luna's purple eyes, no longer hidden by contacts, looked past Tom to something only she could see. "I see it," she whispered. "The stars. So beautiful, just like home." Her hand fell. Her strange triple breathing stopped. The workshop's miracle girl, the alien refugee who had given Earth its greatest shield, was gone. Tom held her for a long time, tears falling on her still face. Around him, the staff of Site 7 stood in silent respect. Even the other refugees had come, standing witness to the sacrifice of one of their own. The funeral was held 3 days later. Against all protocol, Martinez allowed it to be above ground, under the open sky Luna had loved. Tom spoke about the scared girl he'd found in the desert who became the daughter he'd never had. Chen talked about Luna's contributions to science. The refugees sang songs from their worlds, a chorus of different species united in grief. Months passed. Tom threw himself into understanding the memory device Luna had left behind. With Chen's help, they began unlocking its secrets. Medical breakthroughs emerged. New technologies were developed. Luna's knowledge spread quietly through the world, improving lives everywhere. A year later, Tom received an unexpected message through Site 7's secure channels. It was from Luna's parents, transmitted through a network of sympathetic aliens. "Thank you," the message read, "for giving our daughter the life we couldn't. She is remembered on our world as a hero who chose freedom over fear. Her name is spoken in secret by young women who dream of better days. Tom kept the message in his wallet, next to pictures of Sarah and Luna. He continued working at Site 7, helping new refugees adjust to Earth life. Each scared alien who arrived reminded him of Luna, and he treated them all with the same kindness he'd shown her. The bioelectric shield held firm. Earth remained hidden from hostile scanning technology. Refugees arrived more frequently now, knowing they'd found a true sanctuary. The planet became known throughout the galaxy as the Silent World, the place where the hunted could become free. 5 years after Luna's death, Tom stood in the observation deck, looking at the stars. Xerath stood beside him, the electrical alien who had become a close friend. "She changed everything," Xerath said. "One small girl against the universe." "She wasn't small," Tom corrected. "She was the biggest person I ever knew." In the workshop below, refugee mechanics used techniques Luna had taught them. In the medical bay, doctors employed her diagnostic methods. In labs around the world, scientists built on her theories. Luna was gone, but her legacy lived on. Every life saved, every refugee protected, every innovation that helped humanity was a testament to the alien girl who chose to call Earth home. Tom smiled at the stars, knowing that somewhere among them, Luna's sacrifice was remembered. She had wanted to matter, to make a difference. She had done both and more. The abandoned girl from the stars had become Earth's guardian angel, and in the heart of an old mechanic, she would always be family. The story of Luna spread quietly through the refugee community. Parents told their children about the brave girl who gave everything to protect her adopted world. It became a legend, a reminder that courage comes in many forms and from many worlds. Tom lived another 10 years, working at Site 7 until the end. When he passed peacefully in his sleep, they found him holding 2 photos, one of Sarah, one of Luna. He was buried beside the memorial they'd created for Luna, under the desert sky where their story began. The shield Luna created lasted forever, protecting Earth and its hidden refugees. Her name was added to a secret monument at Site 7, honoring those who gave their lives for humanity's safety. But for those who knew her, Luna would always be more than a name on a wall. She was the mechanic's daughter, the alien with healing hands, the girl who chose Earth over her own survival. She was proof that family isn't about species or blood, but about love and sacrifice. And in the workshop where Tom had first saved her life, a plaque appeared one day. It read simply, "Luna Harrison, daughter, hero, friend. The stars brought her to us, but Earth claimed her heart." The desert wind still blows through that canyon, carrying whispers of the past. Sometimes, mechanics working late report strange sounds, like musical language mixed with static. They say it's just the wind, but those who knew Luna think differently. They believe it's her spirit, still watching over the world she died to protect, still fixing what's broken, still showing that kindness knows no boundaries. For in the end, Luna proved that home isn't where you're from. It's where you choose to make your stand.